In the bustling heart of New Orleans, Rachel Davis stood as a beacon of success. A striking figure, her deep brown skin contrasted beautifully against the backdrop of her newly acquired luxury hotel, the Bellevue, known for its opulent decor and vibrant atmosphere. Rachel, in her early 40s, exuded an air of confidence and determination, with her shoulder-length natural curls framing a face marked by both grace and grit. Having spent years climbing the corporate ladder in the hospitality industry, she finally seized the opportunity to own her own establishment, driven by a vision of inclusivity and excellence. Rachel's decision to purchase the Bellevue stemmed not just from a desire for ownership, but also from her frustration with the industry's outdated practices. "I want to create a space where everyone feels welcome," she often told her friends. This dream wasn't just about the profits. It was personal. Having faced her share of prejudice in the industry, she knew how vital it was to ensure that every guest, regardless of their background, received the highest standard of service. As she surveyed the ornate lobby adorned with gold accents and plush velvet furnishings, Rachel felt a surge of hope and responsibility. She imagined the hotel as a sanctuary where people from all walks of life could gather without fear of judgment. However, deep down, she sensed that the staff might not share her vision. To test her theory, Rachel devised a plan. "I need to see how the team truly operates," she thought. Under the guise of a poorly dressed guest, she would infiltrate her own hotel, exposing the biases that often lingered beneath the surface. It was a risky move, but Rachel was resolute. "If I can't trust my team to treat every guest with respect, then change must happen, starting today." With that, she took a deep breath, adjusting the oversized thrift store sweater that disguised her identity, and prepared to step into a world where she would be seen as just another customer. Rachel's heart raced as she approached the grand entrance of the Bellevue, her mind swirling with excitement and apprehension. The hotel's exterior, adorned with intricate wrought iron balconies and lush greenery, projected an image of elegance and exclusivity. Yet, she was acutely aware that appearances could be deceiving. She had seen too many individuals turned away based solely on their attire or demeanor, and she was determined to challenge that. "All right, Rachel, just another day in the life of a regular guest," she muttered to herself, stepping through the revolving doors. The lobby, with its high ceilings and marble floors, echoed with the sounds of laughter and clinking glasses from the bar. As she made her way to the front desk, the scent of fresh lilies filled the air, a reminder of the hotel's luxurious branding. However, as she approached the reception, her heart sank. Jessica, one of the front desk attendants, was engaged in a conversation with another staff member, Amanda, both of whom barely acknowledged Rachel's presence. The judgment in their eyes was palpable, and Rachel felt the weight of their disdain. "Look at that," Jessica whispered, her voice laced with sarcasm. "What do you think she's doing here? Doesn't she know this is a five-star hotel?" Amanda snickered in agreement, rolling her eyes. "I mean, come on. Who shows up like that?" Their laughter pierced through Rachel, stinging her as she fought to maintain her composure. "Excuse me, I'd like to check in," Rachel said, trying to keep her voice steady, but the disdainful glances from the receptionists made her feel small and insignificant. Yeah, right. We'll get to you in a minute," Jessica replied dismissively, her eyes glued to a more impeccably dressed couple who had just walked in. Rachel clenched her fists, the humiliation washing over her. This isn't just a test anymore, she thought, her determination solidifying. It's a mission. She understood that she needed to gather evidence of the bias that permeated her own hotel. As Rachel stood there, a mix of anger and resolve coursing through her, she realized that her disguise was not just a test of the staff. It was a reflection of the broader societal prejudices she had fought against her entire life. If they can't see me as I am, how many others are they ignoring? She pondered, steeling herself for the interactions to come. With a deep breath, Rachel took a step further into the opulent lobby of the Bellevue. The grandeur of the space was undeniable, with shimmering chandeliers casting a warm glow over the polished marble floors. Yet, as she stood in the middle of the room, the atmosphere felt heavy with unspoken judgments. Dressed in an oversized thrift store sweater and faded jeans, Rachel felt out of place amidst the well-heeled guests milling about. Couples laughed heartily at the bar, their designer clothes and expensive accessories accentuating the stark contrast between them and her. She could sense the gazes of the other patrons glancing her way, filled with confusion and mild disdain, as if they were questioning why someone like her would dare enter such a high-end establishment. "Keep it together, Rachel," she whispered to herself, feeling the familiar rush of nerves. She had to remain calm. This was all part of the plan. She approached the front desk, where Jessica and Amanda stood, their expressions betraying a mix of boredom and judgment. "Next," Jessica called out sharply, her voice dripping with impatience. Rachel stepped forward, her heart pounding in her chest. "Hi, I'd like to check in, please." Jessica's eyes scanned Rachel from head to toe, and she smirked. "Name?" she asked, feigning politeness, yet the undertone was anything but friendly. "Rachel Davis," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady, despite the way Jessica's expression twisted into incredulity. "Do you have a reservation?" Amanda chimed in, her tone condescending. "You know this place requires a proper booking, right? I doubt you'd be able to afford it." Rachel felt a flush of anger rising within her. The demeaning comments were unexpected but not surprising. "I just wanted to see how the hotel treats its guests," she managed to say, forcing a smile despite the sting of their words. Jessica exchanged a glance with Amanda, their eyes sparkling with amusement. "Well, sweetheart, I think you've wandered into the wrong place. Maybe try one of those budget motels down the street?" Jessica sneered, her laughter echoing in the spacious lobby. Rachel took a deep breath, feeling the weight of their contempt, yet she held her ground. She reminded herself of her purpose, to reveal the bias embedded in the very establishment she now owned. She observed the opulence around her, the gilded mirrors and plush seating, yet it was overshadowed by the dismissive behavior of her employees. As she stood there, it became increasingly clear that the changes she envisioned for the Bellevue would not only benefit her guests, but also her staff. "I have to do this," she thought, determination solidifying in her heart. "I will bring about the change this place desperately needs." As Rachel stood at the front desk, the disdainful atmosphere thickened like a fog. The conversations around her seemed to fade as she focused on the hostility emanating from Jessica and Amanda. With each passing moment, Rachel's resolve hardened. This wasn't merely about testing the staff. It was a call to confront a deeply rooted issue. "Excuse me?" Rachel said, attempting to sound polite despite the bubbling anger within her. "I'd like to speak to someone who can help me with my check-in." "Someone who can help you?" Jessica scoffed, barely hiding her amusement. "Honestly, what are you even doing here? I mean, you look like you just rolled out of bed." Rachel felt the heat rise in her cheeks, but fought to maintain her composure. "I assure you, I'm just here for a stay. Can you please check my reservation?" she pressed, her voice steady despite the tension. "Reservation?" Amanda chimed in, smirking as she leaned against the counter. "Honey, I don't think a place like this takes walk-ins, especially not from someone who dresses like that. You're not exactly our usual clientele." Rachel's patience was wearing thin, but she remained focused on her goal. "I am the new owner of this hotel," she said, the words spilling out with an authority she didn't quite feel. "And I'm here to ensure that every guest receives the same respect and treatment, regardless of their appearance." Jessica's laughter was loud and mocking. "You? The owner? Right. You're just trying to play some sort of joke on us. Nice try." A knot tightened in Rachel's stomach, but she pressed on. "I'm serious. You may want to reconsider how you treat your guests. This kind of behavior is unacceptable." Just then, another staff member, Sarah, strolled by, overhearing the conversation. She chimed in. "What's going on here? Is this lady bothering you?" Rachel's frustration boiled over. "Bothering? No, I'm merely trying to get checked in without being belittled." Sarah's brow furrowed as she assessed Rachel's appearance. "You know, we have standards here. Maybe you should just leave if you can't keep up," she replied with an air of superiority. The dismissive tone was like a slap in the face. Rachel stood there, feeling the weight of their judgment. She was used to fighting for her place in spaces like this, and it was infuriating to see it perpetuated by her own staff. "Is this how you treat every guest?" "You have no idea who I am or what I've accomplished," Rachel stated, her voice rising slightly. "I could easily walk away from this hotel, but I want to make it better for everyone." Jessica waved her hand dismissively. "Save it for someone who cares. You're wasting our time." Rachel took a deep breath, feeling a mix of sadness and anger wash over her. "No, I won't let this go unnoticed. You all need to understand that change is coming," she declared, her voice firm. As she turned away from the desk, determination surged within her. She wouldn't back down. She would use this experience to fuel her mission of transforming the Bellevue into a welcoming place for all, starting with her own team. Rachel stepped away from the reception desk, her heart racing as the weight of the disrespect pressed down on her shoulders. She had expected some challenges in her quest to improve the Bellevue, but she hadn't anticipated such blatant hostility from her own employees. The lobby, once filled with the promise of new beginnings, now felt like a battleground, where every word exchanged was laced with prejudice. Determined to confront the situation head-on, she took a moment to collect her thoughts. "I can't let this slide," she whispered to herself. "I need to expose their true colors." After a brief walk around the opulent lobby, which was adorned with stunning art pieces and rich drapes, Rachel spotted a quieter corner. She pulled out her phone and began taking notes, capturing the attitudes and behaviors of her staff. As she typed, she felt a mix of anger and disappointment. This was not what she envisioned for her hotel. Just then, Jessica and Amanda exchanged furtive glances and approached her, smirking as if they were about to deliver a punchline. "Did you seriously think you could just waltz in here and act like you belong?" Jessica taunted, crossing her arms defiantly. "This hotel isn't for everyone, you know." Rachel turned to face them, her eyes narrowing. "And who exactly decides who belongs here? Your narrow-minded judgments? I'm here to ensure that every guest feels valued, and that includes people like me." "People like you?" Amanda repeated, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "What does that even mean? You think your skin color gives you some sort of special treatment? This is a luxury hotel. We have standards." The heat of their words ignited something within Rachel. "You don't get it, do you? This isn't just about me. It's about every guest who walks through those doors. You have a responsibility to treat everyone with respect, no matter how they look or what they wear." Before Amanda could retort, Sarah, the other staff member, joined the conversation. "Honestly, you should just leave. We don't need your kind ruining our reputation. I mean, can you even afford to stay here?" The insult stung, and for a moment, Rachel felt a wave of self-doubt. But she quickly pushed it aside, fueled by a fire that refused to be extinguished. "I'm the owner of this hotel, and it's time for you to understand that this attitude will no longer be tolerated. You're representing my brand, and I expect you to do better." Jessica laughed derisively, clearly unfazed. "Good luck with that. This place doesn't change for just anyone." Rachel took a step back, her mind racing. "This is not just a fight for myself. It's for every underrepresented guest who has ever faced discrimination in this industry." She straightened her posture, her resolve crystallizing into something undeniable. "If you can't see that, then perhaps you should reconsider your positions here." As she turned on her heel and left the reception area, she felt an invigorating mix of anger and determination. "They may not see me now, but they will," she vowed silently. The confrontation had only solidified her mission: to reform the Bellevue and create an environment where everyone could feel truly welcome. The lobby felt colder as Rachel exited the reception area, a chill sweeping over her as the gravity of the situation began to settle in. She fought to keep her emotions in check, knowing that the tension was only going to escalate. Her mind raced with thoughts of how to approach the next steps. But before she could formulate a plan, she noticed Jessica and Amanda whispering furtively, their expressions a mixture of amusement and disdain. "Look, she's just going to make a scene," Jessica said, casting a glance in Rachel's direction. "I'm not about to waste my time on someone like her." Rachel's stomach turned at the dismissive way they spoke about her, but before she could take another step, Sarah approached with a security guard trailing behind her. The guard was a burly man, his presence imposing as he towered over Rachel. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, looking between Rachel and the trio of employees. Actually, yes, Jessica chimed in, her voice dripping with feigned concern. This woman is causing a disturbance and doesn't seem to understand the concept of appropriate behavior for a hotel like this. Rachel's heart sank. Disturbance? I'm just trying to check in, she exclaimed, incredulity pouring from her voice. I'm the new owner of the Bellevue, and I've been trying to have a conversation about the treatment of guests. The security guard crossed his arms, clearly skeptical. I think it's best if you leave, he said, his tone suggesting that he had already made up his mind. What? You can't be serious. You're going to believe their word over mine? Rachel protested, her voice rising as frustration mounted. I deserve to be heard. Ma'am, I'm not going to argue with you, he said flatly. You need to leave the premises. Now. Rachel felt her heart race as she looked around the lobby, realizing that the eyes of the other guests were now upon her. She could see them whispering among themselves, confusion evident on their faces. This is not just about me, she said, desperation creeping into her voice. I'm here to make a change, to improve this hotel. You're making a huge mistake. But Jessica smirked, clearly enjoying the spectacle. See? She can't even handle being told to leave, she sneered, turning to the guests. You really think she belongs here? Enough, the security guard barked, stepping forward. I'm giving you one last chance to leave peacefully. Rachel felt a surge of helplessness as she realized that no one was listening, that her words were falling on deaf ears. You're all making a grave error, she said, trying to maintain her dignity despite the humiliation washing over her. I will not let this go unnoticed. As she turned to walk away, the guard followed closely behind, his presence a constant reminder of her exclusion from her own establishment. The weight of injustice pressed heavily on her shoulders, and Rachel fought back tears as she exited through the grand doors of the Bellevue. Outside, the warm New Orleans sun hit her face, but it felt like a cruel joke. She stood on the sidewalk, a mix of anger and despair swirling inside her. This is not the end, she whispered to herself, the determination flaring once more. If they think they can treat people like this and get away with it, they have another thing coming. With renewed vigor, Rachel began to plot her next move, vowing to return and confront the prejudices that had marred her hotel's reputation. She would ensure that this experience was not just a personal grievance, but a catalyst for real change. As Rachel stood outside the Bellevue, the reality of her expulsion sank in. The bustling street filled with vibrant sounds and colorful sights contrasted sharply with the turmoil inside her heart. She took a moment to compose herself, drawing in deep breaths of the humid air. Determination surged through her veins like electricity. She knew she couldn't let this incident define her. Instead, it had to serve as a powerful reminder of the changes she needed to implement. After taking a few moments to gather her thoughts, she noticed Michael, the assistant manager, rushing toward her, his face a mask of concern. He was a tall man with a welcoming smile, his sandy hair tousled from a long day of work. Rachel, wait, he called, breathless as he reached her. Michael, I don't have time for this, she replied, her voice edged with frustration. I've just been thrown out of my own hotel. I know, and I'm so sorry, he said, his eyes wide with disbelief. I didn't know they would treat you like that. You have to understand, I didn't see what was happening until it was too late. Rachel's expression softened slightly as she recognized Michael's sincerity. You need to tell them who I am, Michael. They don't realize they've just humiliated the owner of this hotel. Michael's brows knitted together in concern. What do you mean? I thought you were just here to check in, not? Not just checking in, she interrupted, her voice rising in urgency. I was trying to assess the quality of service. This is unacceptable, and they need to know that I won't tolerate it. I'll talk to them right now, Michael said, nodding firmly. I'll get the staff together and explain everything. They need to know who they're working for. Rachel shook her head, her resolve hardening again. It's not just about them knowing who I am. It's about changing the culture here. I can't just let this slide. I have to confront them directly. I need to show them how damaging their attitudes are. Michael hesitated, but then nodded. You're right. Let's go back inside together. I'll support you. As they re-entered the Bellevue, Rachel felt a rush of adrenaline. The atmosphere was still bustling with guests enjoying their stays, unaware of the prejudice lurking behind the front desk. She spotted Jessica and Amanda at the reception, their demeanor relaxed. But the moment they saw Rachel, their faces fell, surprise etched across their features. "Rachel, you can't be back here," Jessica stammered, her bravado faltering. "I'm back because we need to talk," Rachel said, her voice steady and authoritative. "All of you need to understand what just happened and why it's a serious problem." Michael stepped forward. "Listen, everyone, Rachel is not just a guest. She is the owner of this hotel, and we need to discuss the disrespectful way she was treated today." The room fell silent, and Rachel could feel the weight of their gazes on her. "You all need to recognize that the judgments you've made are not only unjust but also damaging to the reputation of this establishment," she continued, her voice gaining strength. "This hotel should be a sanctuary for everyone, not just those who fit a certain mold." Jessica rolled her eyes, trying to maintain her composure. "But Rachel, we didn't know." "No, you didn't," Rachel interjected. "And that's exactly the problem. It's time for you all to understand that every single person who walks through those doors deserves kindness and respect, regardless of how they appear. If you cannot do that, then I need to reconsider your roles here." The tension in the room was palpable as Rachel's words hung in the air. It was clear that this was only the beginning of a long road toward change, but she was ready to embark on that journey. She would not let this moment pass without leaving a mark. The air in the lobby was thick with tension as Rachel's words settled among her staff. The shock in their expressions mirrored her own frustration, and the silence stretched on, broken only by the soft clinking of glasses from the bar nearby. Jessica and Amanda exchanged nervous glances, while Sarah's defiant stance began to waver. "Rachel, Jessica started. But Rachel cut her off, her patience wearing thin. "No excuses," she said firmly. "What happened today is not just about me. It reflects a culture that I refuse to tolerate in my hotel. I'm not just here to oversee operations. I'm here to create a space where everyone feels welcomed and valued, and that starts with you." Michael stood beside Rachel, his presence supportive as he surveyed the room. "You all need to recognize that the way you treated Rachel is a direct reflection of how we treat our guests," he added, his voice steady. "If you want to work here, you must understand that we are committed to diversity and inclusion. If you can't accept that, then perhaps this isn't the right place for you." Amanda's brows furrowed in confusion. "But we thought we were just maintaining standards. We didn't realize." "Didn't realize what?" "That people come in different shapes, sizes, and backgrounds?" Rachel interjected. "You're supposed to be professionals. The hospitality industry is built on respect, and it's about time you remember that. Today was a lesson not just for you, but for everyone involved in this hotel." Sarah, now visibly shaken, stepped forward. "I didn't mean to disrespect you. It's just, we thought we were following the rules of luxury service." Rachel sighed, her voice softening slightly. "Luxury isn't defined by appearance, it's defined by service. If you treat someone poorly based on how they look, you're doing a disservice to our guests and this establishment. I bought this hotel to create an environment that shatters those stereotypes. I need you all to be on board." Jessica crossed her arms, her defiance slowly crumbling under the weight of Rachel's gaze. "I guess I didn't see it that way," she admitted reluctantly. "I thought we were upholding a certain image." Rachel stepped closer, her tone earnest. "I understand that change can be challenging, but it's necessary. You all have the power to shape the experience of every guest who walks through those doors. The question is, do you want to be a part of the change?" A murmur of uncertainty rippled through the group, and Michael took the opportunity to step in. "Let's make this a team effort. We need to hold workshops on diversity and service standards that reflect Rachel's vision. If we are going to move forward, we all have to be on the same page." Slowly, nods began to surface among the team. Rachel could see the reluctance in their eyes, but also a glimmer of hope. "I want to hear from all of you," she said, her voice strong yet inviting. "What ideas do you have for improving our service? How can we make this hotel a place where everyone feels like they belong?" As Rachel opened the floor to discussion, the conversation shifted from defense to collaboration. The staff began to share their thoughts, suggesting training sessions, guest feedback programs, and even community outreach initiatives. The transformation in the atmosphere was palpable. What had begun as a confrontation was evolving into a united front for change. Rachel felt a surge of pride and relief. She knew the journey ahead wouldn't be easy, but this was a promising first step. They were moving from prejudice to progress, and together, they would redefine what it meant to be a part of the Bellevue team. As the meeting progressed, Rachel felt a shift in the atmosphere, but she knew that acknowledging their biases was only the first step. She had to ensure accountability and reflect on the consequences of the behavior exhibited by Jessica, Amanda, and Sarah. The conversation was constructive, and she wanted it to remain focused on improvement, but she also needed to address the elephant in the room. While I appreciate the ideas everyone is sharing, Rachel began, her voice firm yet compassionate, we can't overlook the fact that disrespecting guests and each other is unacceptable behavior. It undermines everything we're trying to achieve here at the Bellevue. I have to make it clear that there will be consequences for the way you treated me today. The room fell silent, the tension palpable as her words hung heavily in the air. Rachel's gaze shifted to Jessica, Amanda, and Sarah, who stood together, their faces a mix of apprehension and guilt. Jessica, Amanda, Rachel continued, this isn't just about my experience. It's about creating an inclusive environment for everyone who walks through our doors. You both will need to undergo diversity training to better understand how your actions affect others. This isn't a punishment. It's an opportunity for growth. Jessica shifted uncomfortably, her arms crossing tighter over her chest. I didn't realize how my words would impact someone. I thought I was just being honest about the hotel's standards, she admitted, her tone slightly softer. That's the problem, Rachel replied. Honesty is important, but it should never come at the expense of kindness and respect. The hospitality industry thrives on these principles, and without them, we fail our guests and ourselves. Turning her attention to Amanda, Rachel added, as for you, I expect you to work closely with our training department to understand the principles of inclusion and diversity. This is not just for your benefit, but for the benefit of our entire team. Rachel could see Amanda's eyes widen in realization. I understand. I'll do better, she promised, her voice barely above a whisper. And Sarah, Rachel said, looking at the third employee, you also need to reflect on the comments you made today. The language we use matters. I want you to think about how your words can perpetuate stereotypes. I'll be assigning you a mentor who can help guide you in this area. The staff remained silent, absorbing the weight of Rachel's words. She could see that the reality of their actions was beginning to sink in. They had a long way to go, but this was the first step toward accountability. I know this may feel overwhelming, Rachel said, her voice softer now, but I believe in each of you. We are a team, and together, we can make the Bellevue a model for hospitality that champions diversity and respect. But it starts with each of us taking responsibility for our actions. With a hesitant nod, Jessica finally spoke up, her voice trembling. I'm sorry, Rachel. I really didn't mean to disrespect you. I guess I've been conditioned to think that way, but that's not an excuse. I want to change. I appreciate your honesty, Rachel replied, a small smile breaking through the seriousness of the moment. Change isn't easy, but it's essential. We'll all work through this together. As the meeting wrapped up, Rachel felt a sense of hope. She had turned what could have been a destructive confrontation into an opportunity for growth and understanding. The road ahead would require vigilance and hard work, but she was confident that the Bellevue was on the brink of a remarkable transformation. In the weeks that followed Rachel's confrontation with her staff, the Bellevue began to undergo significant changes. Training sessions on diversity, inclusion, and customer service were scheduled, and the atmosphere in the hotel shifted slowly but noticeably. Employees started to engage more positively with guests, embracing the principles Rachel had instilled in them. Rachel's vision for the Bellevue was taking shape. She noticed that guests of all backgrounds began to feel more at home in the luxurious space. Families, solo travelers, and business professionals alike expressed gratitude for the welcoming environment that was now fostered by the staff. The lobby, once filled with whispers of judgment, was now alive with laughter and genuine conversations. One afternoon, as Rachel walked through the lobby, she overheard a family chatting with Michael at the front desk. The children were giggling, and the parents were smiling as they shared their excitement about their stay. Rachel felt a wave of warmth wash over her. This was the atmosphere she had always envisioned for her hotel. As she turned the corner, she spotted Jessica and Amanda chatting with a group of guests, their faces animated and engaged. Rachel paused, a sense of pride swelling within her. "I can't believe the difference in just a few weeks," she thought, reflecting on the journey they had taken together. Yet, Rachel also understood that this was just the beginning. The hotel's commitment to diversity and inclusion had to be an ongoing conversation. She organized regular feedback sessions where staff could share their experiences and concerns. "We must be open to learning," she reminded them. "This is a continuous journey, not a destination." One day, during one of the sessions, Sarah stood up nervously. "I just wanted to say thank you, Rachel. I didn't realize how my words affected others until I started to listen," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I've learned so much, and I want to be better." Rachel smiled warmly at her, encouraged by the growth she was witnessing in her team. "That's what it's all about, Sarah. A willingness to learn and grow is essential in this industry. Remember, our guests come from different walks of life, and each one deserves our respect." As Rachel looked around the room, she saw a team that was beginning to embrace change wholeheartedly. There was still work to be done, but the foundation had been laid. The Bellevue was transforming into a haven for all, where kindness, empathy, and inclusivity reigned supreme. On a quiet evening, Rachel stood on the balcony of her office, overlooking the bustling streets of New Orleans. The vibrant nightlife buzzed below, and she took a moment to reflect on how far they had come. "I want this place to be a safe haven," she thought, a smile spreading across her face. "It's about more than just luxury. It's about creating a community where everyone feels valued." With a renewed sense of purpose, Rachel turned back to her work, ready to lead her team into a bright future. The journey was not without its challenges, but she was confident that the Bellevue would emerge stronger than ever, a testament to the power of empathy, understanding, and the relentless pursuit of equality. The Bellevue was no longer just a hotel. It was a symbol of change, a place where every story mattered and where every guest could find a home. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and check out this next story. It's really emotional.